You don't have to turn off this video and go call your job and say, I quit, I quit, I quit. Because baby, the bill man gonna be calling you and say, I need my money, I need my money, I need my money. Welcome back to my channel. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, I need you to make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure that you like this video. Yeah, go ahead and hit it right now. There you go. All right, make sure that you are commenting down below. Because my team and I absolutely love to read your comments. Now, as you can tell from today's topic, we have a lot to talk about. The question of the day is, how do you know when it is time to pivot? How do you know when that relationship has ended? How do you know when that job has ended? How do you know when that business opportunity has come to an end? And it comes a point where you have to really make a decision on your own to pivot, or sometimes life just is pressuring, and the pressure of life is causing you to make a pivot because there's no other choice. What I want to talk to you about is making deliberate pivots on your own. I quit 2 jobs, okay, because it was time to pivot. I gave a bleep word. I gave someone an exit interview, if you will, out of my life because it was time to pivot. I gave up a dream that someone else had for me to take on my own dreams because it was time to pivot. And I want to talk a little bit about what that means and how do you know that it's time for you to pivot. If you're feeling like you are exhausted emotionally and that feeling just won't go away, it may be time to pivot. It may be that you are showing up to a job just getting by. Performance reviews might come in and they say that you are exceeding the expectations, and it feels like you are just doing a routine to get a check, if you will, the deposit to clear. Okay, you're doing the bare minimum, but you're not feeling very fulfilled, not feeling as though that your life's purpose is being fulfilled, and you're maybe even questioning, what is my purpose? And it may be a chapter in your life where you don't know exactly why you're here. You may have worked on a job for a number of years. You may have been in an industry for a number of years. You may have been in a friendship for a number of years, but it still may feel like something is missing. It may be time to pivot. And what does pivot even mean? Let's talk about that, what it is. Pivoting means is an intentional shift, not blowing everything up. Let's say that again. Pivot is an intentional shift, not blowing everything up. So at the beginning of this video, I told you that I quit 2 jobs at one time, and I decided to pursue a life that I didn't really know what was going to be. It was like a blank canvas. I went out into the world and started painting a new life for myself. But what I'm saying to you is that you don't have to turn off this video and go call your job and say, I quit, I quit, I quit. Because baby, the bill man gonna be calling you and say, I need my money, I need my money, I need my money. I'm saying to you is that when you are feeling like the emotional exhaustion is outweighing the joy in your life, whether that be in the area of your job, whether that be in the area of your career, or whether that be in the area of relationships, it's time to assess where you are and where you really want to be. It's time to really pause for a moment and give yourself the time to really look yourself in the mirror and say, self, yes, you, hey baby, yeah, hey self, what's going on? What's going on with us? Why aren't we happy? What is it that we really want in this season that we're not getting? Are we really living out our purpose-driven life, or are we just doing the things to get by? Another sign that you are in a space where it's time to pivot is that you've outgrown the version of yourself who chose the life that you're living. And for a number of years, prior to becoming a life coach, a success mentor, consultant, all those things, I had been serving in a pulpit as a youth minister for a number of years. And I remember the day that we had went to get a guest church in another city, and we were sitting up there. And oftentimes, if you grow up in a black church, oftentimes churches fellowship with one another, and sometimes that church comes to you, or sometimes you go to that church. And I remember sitting in the pulpit, and I looked down the row of all these ministers who had been laboring in the vineyard of the gospel for a number of years. And I was the youngest one sitting up there. I looked around, I said, these men, I call them young men in my mind, they had lived out a life already. They had went to the military, came home, started families. And I was like 21, 22 years old at the time, still trying to discover who I was. Being able to do the job, able to show up, able to study a scripture and deliver an inspiring message that was impactful and all those things, able to be gifted. But there was something missing. There was a freedom outside of sexuality, outside of just being a conformist to who people thought I had to be. There was some freedom that I didn't even know about because I had been limited to an experience of being placed in a role that required me to show up a certain way. And oftentimes that role caused me to leave so much of myself at the door. I could show up, I could get the crowd going, I could say the things that would stir the people up. I could see souls delivered, see people falling out on the altar. But at the end of the day, I left and I'd have to go home and I'd be empty. And it is in those moments where those moments that built up to that moment of me sitting in the pulpit and looking down that row and seeing all these other men who had lived out their lives for a number of years, that I made a decision, a conscious decision, that baby, I got to live. Because I said, I've got to live. And he said, I come that you may have life in that more abundantly. I said, I wasn't living an abundant life at that time. I was living a life of conformity. And that your story may not be that you've been in a pulpit, but there may be areas of your life where you're only showing up as a version of yourself and you're having to leave other versions of yourself at the door. Maybe you aren't being your full authentic self in ways that allow you to be free without policing yourself and allow you to really obtain joy, genuine joy. I'm not talking about those happy moments. Anybody can smile, anybody can be happy and look happy, but I'm talking about genuine joy. Joy that you can hold on to when no one else is around. Oftentimes when I host conferences and workshops, I tell people, I said, when you leave your home, you grab your keys, you grab your wallet, you grab your cell phone, but you also grab every single face that you need for the day. You grab the face of being a boss. You grab that face of having to be a parent. You grab that face of having to be someone's child, someone's caregiver, someone's employee or employer. And then you have to come home and take off every last one of those masks. And if you're not living an authentic life, if you're not living a life that is full of joy, peace, and happiness, by the time you rip off all those masks, there is someone who is burnt out and emotionally, physically, and oftentimes mentally drained, that is left alone to their own thoughts and demise. That, my friend, is when it's time to pivot. Another sign that it's time to pivot is that you are successful, but you're deeply unfulfilled. I'm gonna tell you my story again, y'all. When I was living in Rochester, New York, I interviewed over 100 people from all walks of life. I'm talking about business owners. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about athletes, I had the opportunity, I knew I was something when I had the opportunity to march in the protest during the day. And then at night, I had one of the leaders of each side of the protest interviewing with me in the same day. Not flexing, but I'm just letting you know there was a appearance on the outward that I was doing the thing and had success, and I was doing something that other people desired to do. I was just living and having a good time, having a great time, building a platform. But at the same time, I was just doing what I thought. I knew it was just what I do. Somebody said, this is what I do. And so I was doing what I was doing, but there was still something missing. There was still something missing that caused me to really put that on the back burner and seek out this journey of trying to find myself even beyond that space. It almost reminded me of the feeling that I've had when I was being Minister Worth in the church, and then I became the host of Audacious Believer TV. And it was almost like these self-created silos or prisons or rabbit holes that caused me to lose the joy that was connected to it, because there became expectations that were put on me by guests and politicians and political parties. At first the platform started off as an opportunity to humanize people in the roles that they were doing in society, but then people would show up with their talking points and they just missed the whole point of the show. You understand me? And so it became draining on me. And one thing about me, when I get tired, when I don't want to do it no more, I'm just not gonna do it no more. You understand me? So that for me was a sign that it was time to pivot. But it came at the right time when I was already getting ready to pivot and do some other things. So that for me is when it was time to pivot. Number 4 is that you constantly fantasize about a new version of your life. I mean, in today's society, we are all on these little cell phones, scrolling through. I'm surprised our thumbs are not tired, just be scrolling through, looking at everyone else living a life that is not the life that we're living. Comparison, I don't know what I was about to say, but comparison is the thief of all joy. And we have millions of people every day scrolling through social media platforms, comparing their life to someone else's life, comparing their bodies to someone else's body, comparing their lifestyle, all the things, maybe consciously and oftentimes subconsciously, doom scrolling, if you will. And what happens is, whether you acknowledge it or not, subconscious is always absorbing what you're taking in through your eye gate, what you're taking in through your ear gate, and it begins to impact you in ways that you may or may not be aware of. It begins to impact your sleep schedule. It begins to impact your self-esteem, your self-image, and that is a sign for you to pivot. When the things that are externally happening and aren't even happening to you, that you are observing in someone else's life, it's causing you to downplay your own life, to not see the value of the things that you bring to the world. And you constantly fantasize about, if I had what they had, ooh, I'd be a bad member Jimmy. Or if I had her body, ooh, I'd be a bad member Jimmy. If I only drove the car. You already have everything you need to be successful. Success aside, you have everything you need to have joy. You have everything you need to have genuine happiness. And when you don't see that, it's time to pivot. My last point is that one of the signs is that you've been saying maybe next year for many, 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 many years. You've been saying, I'm going to write that book next year. I'm going to lose this weight next year. I'm going to drop my EP, let the people hear me sing next year. I'm going to start dancing again next year. I'm going to start doing the things that I enjoy doing next year. Time waits on no man. You're not running out of time, but you are running out of opportunities to do the thing that you know you're intrinsically enjoying and able to enjoy when you do them. I talk to so many people who are singers, and you ask them to sing, and they get the who and the high. I talk to dancers, and I say, hey, baby, let me see you dance. They get the who and the high. You have to be seen to be considered. And if nobody else sees you, baby, you got to at least see yourself in the mirror and enjoy the gift that you have to offer this world. There's so many people who are sitting on ideas, who are sitting on gifts, they are sitting on things that would give them the lifestyle that they're coveting and watching others live through a social media lens or even watching through a reality TV. You can have a life that you want. A quote says, "The grass is always greener where you water it." Imagine if you started that today. Imagine if you shut off this video, because it's not by accident that you tuned in today. You might have just thought, I clicked on this video. It's not by happen chance, it's not by coincidence. Imagine that by the time you turn off this video, you took a moment not only to reflect on where you are, but where is it that you want to go? What kind of life do you want to live? What will bring you genuine happiness? And what if you didn't have to do it by yourself? What if you had someone in your corner rooting you on who was saying, hey, not only can you do it, but here's some strategies on how you can do it? What if you had someone who said, let's look at your larger vision, that macro goal that you have, and map out some micro goals that will get you from where you are to where you want to be? I think I know somebody. I said, I think I know somebody. Hey friend, you don't have to do it all on your own. You don't have to figure it all out by yourself. I am a joy strategist. I promise you I am. And together, you and I can figure out a plan that works best for you. So I want to invite you to look at the link down below and book a discovery call with me. Let's talk about it. Let's take the first step to getting you from where you are to where you want to be.